Hey team, I am super pumped to share our first edition of Metabolic Pearls. So this is a new addition to Friday Forum, and the goal of this is to share an interesting and novel concept in metabolic health that might be able to benefit us and our members. So the first one we're going to start with is obesogens, and this is a super interesting topic that's really under-recognized. So what are obesogens? Obesogens are metabolism disrupting chemicals that are in the environment, and they directly increase fat mass. A landmark 49-page paper on this topic just came out last month. Dr. Rob Lustig is an author, and it concluded these chemicals are not just associated with obesity, but they're mechanistically a causative factor of obesity. They concluded in a paper that exposure to obesogenic chemicals is an under-recognized factor in the obesity pandemic caused by largely unregulated industrial chemical additives. And Dr. Lustig has actually said that he thinks 15% of obesity may be directly attributable to these chemicals. These chemicals can also frighteningly affect our eggs and our sperm, so they can actually have heritable detrimental impacts on our offspring and the next generation. These chemicals are found all over the place. They are largely industrially manufactured chemicals. And again, they're minimally regulated. And some examples of what they're found in are things like can linings, thermal papers like receipts, vinyl flooring, all plastics, even if they're BPA free, lots of personal care products and home care products. So things like shampoo and sunscreen and makeup and lotion. They're found in food preservatives, which of course are found in lots of processed foods. They are in several drugs like antidepressants. They're on our clothing. They are in the coating of nonstick cookware. They are sprayed on our furniture and mattresses as flame retardants. They're found in toys, electronics, lots of home disinfectants. They're also in the air as part of air pollution, and pesticides are obesogens. So they're all over our food. They also have, so it's important to kind of realize they don't just have one effect on metabolism, they have so many different effects on metabolism based on what the chemical is. And some of the actions that they can have on the body include impairing the microbiome. They alter our hormone function, specifically the hormonal control of eating behaviors. They can affect our thyroid function, which of course is closely involved with metabolic rate. They can change our epigenetics, meaning the expression patterns and the folding of our genes. They can directly also cause gene mutations. They cause inflammation and oxidative stress. They impair our circadian rhythms. They affect sirtuins, which are key longevity genes that you read about in Dr. Sinclair's book. And they also affect our hormone function by doing things like actually blocking or activating hormone receptors. So like binding to the estrogen receptor and, kind of acting like an estrogen. And these are, of course, relevant to levels because these chemicals alone have been shown to induce metabolic dysfunction. So even if the food is totally dialed in, these can be playing a significant role. So what can we do? The most important part. So the first thing is just eating real, clean, whole food and ideally organic food to minimize pesticide exposure. And the added benefit of eating a nutrient-rich whole food diet is that micronutrient deficiencies can exacerbate the problems with obesogens, and also added sugar in and of itself, like fructose, is an obesogen. And so just sticking to whole, real, clean foods is really important. We want to include cruciferous vegetables, which are things like broccoli, kale, cauliflower, bok choy, and cabbage, which have sulforaphane, which activates our antioxidant defense systems. We want to minimize plastic use and opt for things like glass and other materials. We want to use clean home and personal care products. Environmentalworkinggroup.org is a great resource for finding clean products. We also want to filter our air if we can, because air pollution is a big part of this. Last thing I want to mention, the paper mentions and has sort of like a call to action for people to think about creating a personal biomonitoring kit that can measure endocrine disrupting chemicals and obesogens to help people understand what's going on inside their bodies, what their levels are, and give them more biological observability. And they use the word empowerment in the paper, which is a word that we love. More on YouTube with the conversation I had about this with Rob Lustig. And thanks so much for being here for our first Metabolic Pearl.